All right. So the grant, I'm going to share my screen real quick. Okay, so are you seeing the Southeast Kansas Library System Equipment Technology Grant Guidelines? Okay, great. So as with most of our grants, this is the competitive grant. So there will be a committee who reviews your grant, the grant application. There is a requirement that the grant has a single focus. So rather than having it be, I want a laundry list of new things for my library, you need to find a cohesive story, project, reason to have all of those, all of these requests, and what are they going to serve? What's the focus? And the other thing that you need to share with us or share with the committee is, how is this going to benefit your local community? What's the benefit to your library? So if there's a need, what is that need? What's the benefit? Who's going to be best supported by this new technology? There's a requirement for is it feasible? Meaning, do you have the staff to, if it is a big project that you want to do, maybe you want to create a brand new maker space and have a 3D printer and a sewing machine and a Cricut and that really fancy Cricut design software on a laptop. You're going to do it. Do you have the time? Do you have the resources? Do you have the space? Is it feasible? Is this an idea or a project that you can successfully implement? Because we're going to look at that, and we know you. So it's the committee knows you, and we take that into consideration. And then the last part is sustainability. So if you do, so I'll use Iola as an example. We used a grant, not this grant, we don't qualify, but we used a grant to create, to get hotspots, to buy 10 hotspots and to pay for the subscription for them. Well, it was grant funded. When the grant ran out, we had to scramble and figure out how we were going to continue this because it was wildly popular. And luckily we received a memorial gift. But in our case, it wasn't sustainable. We hadn't put it into the budget to continue with this very successful technology project. So that's going to be something that we want you to think about. How are you going to follow through and follow up with this project? Okay, so now comes the fun part. We can talk about ideas and share ideas. Back to the nuts and bolts of the grant. One of the things that we changed and the executive board approved was that, yes, primarily this is going to be for new and novel ideas and programs. But if you've already started a successful program like the checkouts, laptop checkouts or hotspots checkouts, and you want to update or expand that, and you can justify it, that is going to be allowable for this year. The applications are going to open August 1st, and we have a forum on August 2nd, so we'll talk about it then as well. Remember that this is one of the grants that's not just for public libraries. So our school libraries and our academic libraries can apply for this as well. And then the deadline for the application is going to be 10/10, my niece's birthday. And we've changed the email that you send all the accompanying materials to because I get enough email. I don't need any more. So we want you to send any of the accompanying materials to grants.sekls@gmail.com. That makes it easier for us to put those into a Google Drive and make sure that we keep them organized and stored for everybody. This is also the finances of this. You can up to 75% of the project cost is eligible for the grant, or up to a maximum of $2,000. All right, so this is one where you'll get 3/4 of the amount once we accept that you have the grant, and then you'll get the remainder later. That part confuses me, but Vivian has it under control, so we'll just continue on in that. And then, of course, I know a lot of you are working on last year's competitive grant report. So the report for this will need to be to us by July 31st, 2023. But I would encourage you to get everything bought and get this implemented in 2022, if at all possible. That's because then it supports your people that much faster. All right. So in preparing for this, Dave and Jake and I, and Amy too, we talked about what I'm dividing into your fundamental technology, the stuff you need to make your library work, and then the fun technology. So, let's put the fun in fundamental. For the fundamental technology, this is, the Dave and Jake area, computers and monitor replacement. This is something new, and I'm going to switch for this real quick. Dave and Jake have put together some pricing samples, suggestions for some of this fundamental technology that we're going to talk about and some of the fun technology. And the part I want to go to are refurbishes. So there are a top of the line desktop is almost $1,000. So yes, some of you have enough use that $1,000 computer is exactly what you're going to need because it's in use from the time you open until you close. Others of our libraries are not open that much, and maybe they don't have as many people coming. So is it down further, Dave? Because I saw you somewhere. I thought you had given me a
It's
link
right below
for.
the.
Is it this
It's right
one?
below the. No, it's right below the one you were looking at.
Ah. Oh, the $380. There it is. So refurbished computers. I don't know about you, but I'm listening to my radio on a refurbished iPad. I like refurbished computers. I think that in many cases they work well. What Jake and Dave would ask is that if you find one that you think you like, shoot it to them so they can look at the specs and make sure that it's going to fit your needs. It's just like a used car. We have to make sure that we're getting one that's reputable. But if you find yourself, if you're a little library and you find yourself that, all your computers are dying at the same time and you really just can't afford to, 4 $900 computers, but you could afford 4 $350 computers, then in my mind, that's acceptable. But that's something between you and your board and how you want to spend your money. But I did ask them to include refurbished options. And then, copiers and printers are some of that fundamental technology. Your networking equipment. So we talked about the Wi-Fi. I mean, how many people have a Meraki router? How many maybe need to expand that Meraki router? How many people are thankful that they added technology to their ARPA grant? So that some of that might have already been taken care of. This is things like switches, extenders, routers, and licensing. So, right, Jake, the Meraki routers need licensing as well.
Yeah, usually it's either a 3 or 5 year license.
Okay, so good thing to include in grants if it's an extended license. Security
power
equipment.
supply. The Merakis don't come with it.
Oh yeah, and that the outlet or the power cord, you have to buy it separate. Security equipment. Who's looking for cameras? Programming equipment. We were able to get a grant through Thrive Allen County for a 4D TV, which means that from my laptop, I can just select the TV as a monitor and I don't have to have any wires, and we can wireless, our program person can come with their MacBook and they don't need a dongle or adapter. We can shoot our story time book flicks thing onto this TV in the story time room. So programming equipment, projectors, speakers, TVs. We already talked about hotspots and laptops and smart spots and all that kind of technology that you can check out and send home with people. And then upgrading internet. And hopefully almost everybody has pretty good internet. But I know like in Hamilton, right, Amanda, we talked about that you might have an opportunity to increase your broadband as new companies come and maybe there's some additional resources or sources for internet in your community. And that might be something that you want to use this grant on. Any questions or other suggestions for fundamental technology? Okay. Fun. Here's the fun stuff. How many of you have considered robots or robotics or Ozbots or Dash and Dot robots or anything related to robotics? No. All right. This is something that I had in my library in Pennsylvania, and it was definitely a STEM program and something that we could do to augment what the schools were doing. And we found it to be, the kids loved it, but it was time consuming. But it's a it's a suggestion. So I talked a little bit about makerspace equipment that maybe you want to think about. 3D printers. I know Samantha and Lauren both already have 3D printers. The other option, and one, where's the pen? The 3D printing pen. If you're in Kansas City, go to Olathe and go to their new Indian Creek branch, and they have a makerspace right inside the front door. And they have these 3D printing pens, which are basically like a glue stick, but you can instead of the glue just trailing into nothing, it's a little piece of plastic, and you can make 3D Eiffel Towers and 3D, you can print with your pen all sorts of cool 3D things. Sewing machines. How many of you have heard of libraries that have sewing machines that they can either pull out for programming or check out, so people can use them to fix patches or learn to sew? This is part of a more of a crafty makerspace option. And then Cricuts. I think we've talked about this in the past, getting a Cricut machine to make vinyl lettering, to make signage, to create merchandise that you can sell at the library. Fredonia does that too. They sell everything, tote bags and customized pencil holders. But yeah, Cricuts can be used for both the library and fun programs and programs with kids. And if you really want to get, creative, and you can think about video editing and recording equipment. Some of these libraries that are the larger libraries or the newer libraries, like in Lawrence Public, they have a sound studio. And they have the equipment needed to, if you're an artist, to come in and work on your video editing or your audio editing. That's more for our larger libraries, unless that's a passion that you have. So those are just some of the ideas that we had brainstormed, and I wanted to see if you guys had some other ideas that you wanted to share or ask about. I'm going to quit sharing. There we go. And Dave, can you put the link to that ideas for technology grants in the chat for us, please? Okay, Mary said K-State just did a robotics program in Neodesha and the kids loved it. Awesome. And Valletta, okay, you've done little robotics. Did you do Ozbots, or what kind of? Yeah, we have a Cricut. We have an old Cricut Iola, but SEK has a little bit newer Cricut, and we're using it from everything for vinyl lettering on our hours we created in vinyl and put them on the front of the library. It just makes everything look more professional. Oh, you just did a simple starter kit from Walmart. Awesome. Makey. Okay. And then would a teen space, video game, virtual reality space be something? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think VR would work for this, and a gaming area. It's programming, but it's technology for programming. And I think especially with in our small towns and for teens, maybe this is something that they're hearing about, but nobody in town has it. I think one of the roles of the library is to have things for people to sample or play with to see if they like it. Even board games, we talk about this. Take it home, try it, see if you like it, and if you love it, then you can invest in this $30 board game. Same with technology. Electronic kits. Yeah, there's Ozbots, Makey, the Dash and Dot were the ones that we used. What's the second one? Make block? I'm not familiar with that. So there's a couple of these on this document I'm not familiar with, but if there's others, because we can make this document so it's you can comment on it. And then if you have suggestions, then all of us can come and share each other's suggestions. I think that would be I like that. Groupthink. The other thing I want to do real quick, I'm going to share my screen and we can look quickly at some of the grants. So in 2018, we had everything from thermal printers, which are quiet and fast, coding kits. So we have had some coding and as an option, which is great. Yeah, so Sammy, I didn't know that you guys had used this grant to get your 3D printer. That's awesome. Charging stations, that's a good idea. And then of course, a lot of people use this grant for multifunctional printers. That's fine. Fundamental, no big deal. I like the self-checkout station. That's something that I like self-check myself. And then in 2020, here's some of those ideas. And we can share this with you as well in case you're new, just so you know, and ask for something different than you had previously. Or if you are asking to upgrade what you had asked for previously, to justify that in the grant application. Looks like cover one, AWEs. I'd forgotten about that. That's a good idea. Virtual programming, color printers, staff computers. So I think we covered almost all of these. Ooh, a radio transmitter. Who's going to do ham radio? That's something to start at the library. Yeah. Oh, and a charging cart. Awesome. That's a good idea. So yeah, do you do computer classes and you need 4 of the same laptops so you can pull them out and do computer classes with people. And then also have them available to check out if all of your sit-down computers are full.
Yeah, like a portable lab like we have.
Yeah, exactly. A portable lab is another idea that you might, especially if you just don't have the space for a whole bunch of sit-down tower computers. But maybe you do have space for one cart with laptops or iPads or
both.
Or those fancy new laptops that are tablets too. Right? So do you guys have some other questions or suggestions? Let's see if anyone here has already bought a Cricut set. Talk to Valletta, she wants the recommendations. I would like very much to, okay, good. Have a Cricut interest group as well. And we're trying to convince our resident embroiderer, Brenda, that this should be something that she spearheads and she wants to learn more about the Cricut and then have that be something that we can support you guys on, and then we can share the files that are needed, to create the Cricut people. What are they called? They're like templates or patterns. I'm thinking sewing patterns, but so I think that some of the libraries, like in Coffee County, they all have, every branch has a Cricut and they use it for everything, from just decorations on the windows to decorations on the walls to signage on their end caps of their shelves, for just good professional signage instead of a piece of paper taped, which is what we had on our door for the longest time. Oh, Valita, sorry, Valita. And Yeah, color printers, staff printers. So yeah, so we are going to try to be more supportive of cricketing across the consortium, across the system. Any other questions or suggestions? Okay. Again, I just kind of wanted to take this time to yeah, for sure. Doesn't your 3D printer cause you no end of trouble? Dave said he has one at home and you have to replace things periodically, and yeah. So I don't know. I haven't talked to Lauren to see how hers is working too, but it's still kind of a fun thing to have. And again, it's one of those, a technology that people are curious about. They can satisfy that curiosity through the library. But I wanted to have this just to talk about the grant, talk about expectations, get you guys thinking about it in advance of it coming due, and let us know if you need support. Dave and Jake can help with suggestions, recommendations, help you with the research. If you do want to get Dell computers, just the normal way, we can facilitate the ordering of those. If you want to do this on your own because you can get better deals, or you have an Amazon Prime account or whatever, then work with them to verify that the requirements that that you're getting something that's compatible and will work in your specific library and environment. Okay. If there's no other questions, I'll stop the share. I started recording a little late, so after you guys are done, I'll append this and redo my talking points about technology plans and all that kind of stuff. But nothing. Okay. Oh yeah, Diana.
Can this only be for like one thing, or can it be like, say, if you need a router and a monitor and all the licensing and connections, can it be for multiple like that? Or does it have to be just like one specific, like computer with monitor, or
It just needs to have a focus. So, just sort of like what we talked about with the ARPA grant, get creative with defining that focus. So the things that you're asking for, are they for library security? Are they for, what's sort of the umbrella project or need or requirement that you're covering with this grant project? It can't just be a laundry list, but again, that was the same with ARPA. It needs to have a focus, and it actually needs to be a project. And we talked a little bit about how it needs to have focus. What's the benefit for the library? Is it feasible? Once you get all this stuff, can you make it do what you wanted to do with it? And then how sustainable is it? So does that help answer your question, Diana?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Does the director write the grant or the assistant director? That depends on your local library. Normally with grant applications like this, I would complete it and give it to my board as a review and approve, just because maybe it's a new project or a new program that you're trying to do. So, whoever has the idea and the time and is the good wordsmith, I think some boards help with these grant writing opportunities as well. Sammy?
Would a touch screen computer for searching the OPEC out in Stacks work, or a self-checkout?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if I could do this, I would do self-checkout.
What would anybody have recommendations for a self-checkout?
You have options. You can do the expensive self-checkout like Independence has, where it's a bibliotech, but those are like 10 grand. But you can also just do a monitor, computer, keyboard, receipt printer, and barcode scanner out on a table. And people know how to use all those things and can self-check out themselves. I had 2 of those at my library, but cheap, old equipment. The only thing it cost me was the $300 for the receipt printers and $250 for the barcode scanner. But
And
the
the,
kids loved it to do it themselves.
mhm. And the patrons wouldn't be able to look at other patrons' information? I mean, with
No,
our
there's-
last system, we couldn't do that.
Yeah, Koha, we'll double check with Jason, but yes, Koha does have a self-check module. Yes, Jason says yes.
Yay.
It's a separate URL they visit in the OPAC, so it's all locked down.
Yeah.
So that's even something you wouldn't have to apply for the grant for, if all you have to use is an old computer.
But you could, I mean, you can use the grant for the other, because you do want a receipt printer and you do want a barcode scanner that's going to work well.
And
So-
even like you could look into like flatbed scanners and things like, you know, use at Walmart. They have the scanning that's like this, where you can hit it on the edge or the bottom. You could look into
Mhm.
something more advanced to make it more usable for your patron.
Cool.
But yeah, you don't necessarily have to have the super expensive scanner all-in-ones. But feel free to get them if you want. But they are really expensive and you don't have to do that. Yeah, but if you have other questions about self-service of holds and how to best work with self-checkout, we can help you with that. I have experience, and I think there's Independence is also doing self-checkout and self-service holds, if I remember right. So
Independence or Coffeeville, one or the other.
I don't remember it at Coffeeville, but I definitely remember it at Independence.
Yeah, Leanne just said in chat she's got one. So
Okay, great. Okay. Any other questions? We're here for support, as you know.
Has anyone thought of doing the bins? Like where they're like outside your library or like right inside a breezeway that's locked and they put like a code in or unlock it or something?
Oh, so this was what Roger wanted everybody to do for their ARPA grant, the lockers.
Yeah.
Um,
Did anyone do that?
I think so, but I can't remember who. I know, again, Coffee County has them at several of their libraries. I'd have to scratch my head on that, because that's sort of that fine line between furniture and technology. But I'm gonna write it down and think about it. I tend to be more liberal with these things, so.
We have the lockers in Chanute now.
And do you love them?
You like them?
We just got them set up because it took a while to get them ordered and then to get them here and then
Right.
to have the city install them and stuff. So it is a big project. But we're hoping, I mean, we just got it started like 2 weeks ago. So
Oh,
we're
okay.
hoping more people will be interested and will be using them here pretty soon. But a lot of people have asked, once we got them set up outside, they were like, what are these lockers for? So I think people will be interested, and the people that we've talked to about it seem like this is a good idea.
Okay. And were they
I-
less than the $2,000?
That I don't know about. You'd have to ask Kara. She's the one who spearheaded that one.
Okay.
I'd be interested to hear what the procedures are and how you're going to use it.
Yeah, talk to Kara Hale at the Chanute Public Library. She's the director. She's the one that came up with the policy and the procedures and everything. So she would be the one to talk to.
Okay. And then Sammy at Coffee County, it's Mary Davies is the director for that system. One of the other, and this is definitely more than $2,000, but I just want to mention it. Lauren at Columbia used the Dream Grant to get a book vending machine that has been installed in the local high school. And they have a memorandum of understanding with the high school on, who does what related to this book vending machine. But I think that's going to be a project that I want to watch and see how that works as a way to highlight the library and to also encourage kids to use the library and to read and have books at home. So, but that one's a little bit more than $2,000. Get your creative juices flowing and gives you ideas about maybe what you want to apply for. I'm going to just assume everybody's shaking their head. Yes, we can't wait till it opens. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to let you guys go then and get on with your Friday. And I know a lot of us are like, yes, we can go home now. It's been a long week, but I hope everybody has a good weekend and try not to melt. All right. Okay. I'm going to pause recording. Okay. I'm going to, because I started the recording a little bit late, I'm going to go over a couple of points that I wanted to share with everybody. We talked at the beginning of this webinar, we talked about technology plans and computer replacement. In the past, in the dark ages, when we had Gates computers, we were required to have a technology plan. That just meant an idea in writing of what technology we were needing, we were using, and an inventory and a replacement plan for the technology that we already had. So we knew how many computers we had, how old they were, and what their 3 to 5 year replacement cycle should be. And so I still think that having that is a good idea because it informs your budget and it lets you and your board know, when you should be replacing your computers. And if you have this on a staggered cycle, then you're not in this situation where, oh my gosh, all of our computers are dying at the same time and we don't have $1,000 per computer for 5 computers. We just don't have $5,000 in our budget to do this. So if you are keeping track of this replacement cycle and being kind of mindful about that, then you can either use these grants or utilize other grants, or just put it into your budget for this replacement of your computers and your technology. Technology is a customer service. It is as important, I think, for many of our communities as the books that we have on the shelf, and in some cases more important. So now's the time to see what's changing. How has COVID impacted what technology people are using in the library? Are we seeing fewer people at sit-down computers and more people bringing in their own technology, bringing in laptops, bringing in their phone? Are there more requests for wireless printing? They bring in their phone. I need to print this document. Can you help me? And do you see a need for expanded wireless service? Are more people coming to just use your Wi-Fi, either outside or at your gazebo that you used your ARPA money for? And do you maybe need to update that technology or expand your the reach of your wireless services? And then how does the library's space, how is it different? Do you need to maybe, if you have an old computer, and it's rare that all of your computers are used at the same time, but people come in with a laptop and look around and don't have a place to sit down and plug it in. Get rid of retire the standalone computer and maybe make that a nice, cozy place with a lamp and an outlet for your Wi-Fi users. Because I don't know about you, but I'm seeing people who work from home coming to the library to remote work at the library. We talked a little bit about already the 3 to 5 year computer replacement. You can work with SEK staff to audit what you have. Dave probably installed most of what you have. So he knows and can help you determine your needs and priorities. And the guys noted that computers manufactured before 2018 won't be able to update to Windows 11. So, and Windows 10 is going to die in 2025. So those are 2 things to be aware of as well. My recommendation from when I was the technology consultant at Nichols is that the newest, most robust computers should go to staff. You are the power user. I would speculate that there's a rather small number of libraries who have their public access computers used enough to justify a $1,000 computer. A brand new computer is running about $900. So think about who needs a brand new, expensive, high-end computer, probably the director, and who doesn't. And that you can take that brand new computer that the director has used for 3 years and repurpose it as a patron computer because it's a high end, got lots of RAM, has lots of memory. You can repurpose that and use it for another couple of years as a patron computer, and then you can reuse it as a scanning station, a digital signboard, a quick lookup station, lots of different ideas. You can use it with a flatbed scanner and create a digitization spot. If people want to come in with their old photos and scan them, that's an option too. So there's lots of things you can do with those old computers if you do decide to start with a high-end $900 computer. But you don't, and we will be sharing a document that has suggestions for the fun computers and the fundamental technology. We'll talk about that in a minute, but it also gives you examples of recycled, refurbished technology. Okay, so again, points to remember on the grant. The criteria is it needs to have a single focus. So as I was answering Diana's question earlier, it should have an umbrella. What's the project? What is the benefit? How will this benefit your local community and the library? What's the need that this is helping fill? Is it feasible? So is it practical? Can you and your staff accomplish the project? The example that I gave was a makerspace. So good, have grand ideas, but make sure that you and your staff and your space can accommodate and make full use of the technology. Because, you know, it's kind of sad and it's like, oh, this is going to be awesome. And you buy all of this technology and it just sits there because you don't have time, you don't have the volunteer help, or you don't have the space to get it all taken care of. And the sustainability, the example that I gave is in Iola, we used a grant to get hotspots. And when the grant period ended, we did not have it in the budget to sustain this project, but it was wildly successful and very much needed by the community. So we had to find the money somewhere. So think about that. Is it sustainable? Am I setting myself up for success or some hurt down the line? So project ideas, we have the fundamental technology and the fun technology. The fundamental technology are those computer and monitor replacements. Like I said before, you can get a refurbished computer, or you can determine if you actually need a new computer, which is about $900. We do recommend that you also figure in for power blocks, the UPSs. You can use this for copiers and printers, networking equipment, routers, the licensing, the power cord for those routers, for new switches, for Wi-Fi extenders, for that kind of stuff. And again, that's what Jake and Dave and Jake, that's what they're there for, is to help you with those recommendations. You can use this grant for security equipment, programming equipment, TVs, projectors, speakers, hotspots. You can use this to upgrade your internet access. If you have a new internet provider in your community and you have an option to expand your Wi-Fi, either to expand your reach or to make it more robust, you can use this grant towards that. Fundamentals, we also talked about AWE computers for kids, self-check. For the fun technology, robotics, laptops and tablets with coding software on them, things that support STEAM and STEM. Somebody suggested virtual VR, and that would fit under this grant. Makerspace equipment, and it can be the traditional makerspace equipment like 3D printers and 3D printing pens, but it can also be sewing machines and Cricuts and other sort of makerspace equipment. Video editing and recording equipment. For those who are really ambitious, Lawrence Public Library has a sound studio in the basement of the library. The new Indian Creek branch at Olathe has a sound studio in their teen space. So there are lots of creative ideas, and we will be sharing out the document and making it so that you can comment and share your ideas as well. And I will also share out what projects people applied for in 2018 and 2020. So thank you and have a great day.